record. So what we want to do today is to wrap up the Agile development approach, the discussion of Agile. And then particularly I want to show some of the tools we've been using to manage the development using Agile approach or Scrum. So sometimes when we say Scrum, it basically means the same thing. Okay, Scrum, Agile, they're talking about the same thing. All right, very quick recap on what we talked last time.
Whatever application is secret, and then it's going to pass in.
All right, so a very quick recap. And then here, we were talking about the motivation for having this Agile approach, which is based on this old traditional waterfall model. And again, the waterfall model has been used in a lot of projects. And most of the projects are still using it, I mean, in different domains. I think also a good example would be the construction domain. So we try to build a house, build a building. And for sure, you will need to get a requirement, particularly the design had to be very, very detailed. Once you set up a design, you almost don't change it anymore. And you just follow the design to building it, and eventually you test it. That actually works really well for the construction field. But it doesn't work well for software because sometimes your design might not be the right thing in terms of what customer wants, or the designers or engineers that may have a lot of understanding gap so that they didn't really understand the user requirement correctly. But for the construction domain, this risk is lower because the building, they're easier to model, easier to visualize. And then you can always get a very good feeling about it even before you build it, especially with a lot of software help, the tools, 3D models, and there's some other thing called a BIM model. So they give you a really detailed model and visualization for the software for the actual building. So it's a very less likely that you will make any mistakes when you are implementing it, right? So this is the problem we're trying to get rid of, from the waterfall model. We don't want you to spend the whole year time to build something that's either not really needed by the customer, or the customer just gave you the wrong requirement in the very beginning. So that's how we told you that you should break up your big cycle into smaller cycle, and every cycle, instead of focusing all the features, just focus 10% of the feature, maybe less. And then, but every cycle you do a complete development to deliver those little features, and then you got the opportunity to show it to the user, to deliver to the user, and then you can get some feedback. So this gives you a lot of flexibility so that you can always make sure that your things are on track. Okay, and I also talk about the team. All right, so the developers are the majority members for the Scrum team, software development team. Scrum Master, I told you a lot of cases is one of the developers, they take turn to do it. Product owner, normally it's a development manager or the product manager. Every cycle, everybody just do all the complete development from design, coding, testing, and eventually the demo will show it. All right. And then also some of the concept I showed you, okay, there is a backlog. Okay, this is where you put all the features, all the to-do list here. And every sprint, in the beginning, you're gonna have a sprint meeting to talk about what to put here, all right? And then once we decide that, and then we'll start a cycle to do the development. And from backlog to sprint planning log, that process involves first of all, you need to know how to write down all the features, the tasks. Also, you need to know how to prioritize that, right? Instead of having a lot of arguments, the best way is to get the feedback from customers. Also, I showed you how do you make a plan with a very practical approach. You have to estimate the time, and then based on the number of hours we have from the whole team, and then we can allocate a certain number of tasks to finish for this sprint. And then this is how you can estimate the time, because all based on developers, so you should actually get input from the developers. All right. After we get all of this, and then it's just time for code. All right. And also, during this whole development cycle using Agile, there are some important meetings about some in terms of the like a common practice you really need to know. All right. So for example, you will have this thing called a Scrum daily meeting. Sometimes people call it a stand-up meeting. So this one normally happens once a day. Some teams don't do it once a day; they do it once every 2 days, or sometimes once half week or 1 week. But very rarely they do it over a week. Daily Scrum meeting in the big companies are very, very typical. And during this meeting, every developer should be together and then do a quick update. And the meeting very short. And we don't want you to have too much time spent on this meeting. So we call it stand-up meeting because everyone are recommended to stand up so that it makes the meeting really, really quick. And then during the meeting, everybody will talk. You will basically need to answer these 3 questions. So what did I do yesterday? And what will I do today? And also, is there anything that blocks my current progress? Any challenges or difficulties you're having? So simply talking about those questions, and then we do a discussion at the very end, and that's called Scrum Daily Meeting, sometimes stand-up meeting. All right, so I'll talk a little bit more about this one, but this meeting is a very important occasion for the whole team to sync up, to update, to know where we are, to make sure everybody's on the same page. All right, so this meeting you will have to join it from day one once you become a software engineer or developer. All right, and this is the basic how people are having the meeting. As I mentioned, a lot of time they're just doing a stand up and then look at some kind of board to see the task, the progress, everything. And then also after each cycle, each sprint, we also have a sprint review meeting where the team get together, try to see how the past cycle went. In terms of goals, did we meet all the goals, finish all the features? In terms of quality, any kind of special issues we didn't see, or anything we need to improve, right? And there's also a component, sometimes a part of the sprint review meeting, sometimes it's just a separate meeting to really reflect just the sprint itself, if there anything that in terms of practice, not technical feature, but the practice, anything we should adjust. For example, maybe we change the time of Scrum meeting time from afternoon to morning, and people find it more efficient. Or maybe we'll do some other, you change some tools to sync up the status, which turned out to be more efficient, right? So a lot of those will be happening at the end of the sprint to just do some kind of review, right? So that is these major meetings you need to have for the Agile development approach, all right? But what I really want to show you today is, I talk about all the tasks and everything. How do we manage them? All right, so very common we use some tools to do it. And there are obviously all different tools. Recently I use GitHub issues a lot, but there are also some dedicated tools that does this kind of thing. Okay, there are a couple of important ones. One is something called Jira. Okay, so this one is really popular. All right, so let me just show you some examples, some of the demo tools they have. Okay, so for example, here, let me show you what it looks like. Do they have some kind of a demo or, let's see. Let's see to see some kind of a demos. Yeah, it looks like you do need to create an account. There are some open source project that has right, so let me see if there are any good ones. Has anyone used Jira before? Okay, very cool. Yeah. Okay, hopefully this project has a dashboard we can see. All right, so it looks like you really need to log in. Is that right? Can we just browse issues? Yeah. Okay, good. So it looks like we can actually see some of those. All right. So this is a typical dashboard for the task management. All right. So no, there are a lot of the tools. Okay, Jira is one of them. Some people like it, some people don't like it because this one is very complicated. It's a lot of things going on. It's not really too simple. So that's why some of the team just prefer something much simpler and more concise. And then, so you basically create all these issues, right? Issue is a term that's been used very common in different tools. Like this one says update the master POM files to this one here. Describe the title of the issue and then their types, whether it's a bug or it's a task or a feature, priority, how important it is, and then some other descriptions. This is very simple, so not really too much. It looks like just to update the POM file. And then what if we see, are there any kind of maybe this one looks like a bug, yeah. So YFT, I don't know what that is, doesn't add the portal heading fragment as it should. So describe what the bug is. So is the bug very urgent? And then there's some kind of a history, work log, everything. And these are more kind of things integrate with the other system. But mainly we're just looking at these issues to track their status, to track what we need to do, the title, the priority, and the deadline, and also who is going to take care of that. So you need to assign that to some people. All right, so as you can see, once you assign this one to all the developers, every developer, when they log in, they will be able to see the ones they own and then they need to finish. So during the development process, you will just update all the status. If you're done, then close it, resolve it. So that's how you use the tool to manage it, right? So this one here is another issue, indicate when the message updated, something about their system updates, and then there's the description, talk about what to do, all right? And then this is the feature, all right? Not a bug, not a task, just a feature, and then also very important. And then it's already been assigned to somebody. And then the time and everything, this is still open, meaning that people are still working on it. All right, so this is basically how the task management system works. Okay, this is only one of them. I think the Jira tool is relatively more complicated and has more information. You may not need it. That's why sometimes people prefer some of the simpler tools. Okay, there is one thing called a pivotal tracker. So this one, I don't, yeah, there's some kind of free trial you can do. Let me see if there is some kind of demo site. Or I should have a can't remember that. Let me try this. All right, let's see. You can create a project. So I do have some project, some account. Okay. Public. All right, so that's the new UI. Oh yeah, they changed it so much. I don't even know. All right. So, so this one here, they kind of try to follow the Agile approach. Okay, they have this icebox, and then Maybe, so they also have the current and backlog, they put it together. So again, I don't know how they manage this one. You could assume, I guess, the ice box will be your basically your like a backlog. Okay, so basically all the things you want to do. All right, so let's see. Let's try to add a story. Okay, so you can say that, you know, let's set up Node.js initial code base. Let's say for the start of the project, because it's a feature or core bug, and it doesn't matter. You know, maybe put it to the feature. So the points here, guys, this is how you estimate the efforts. As you can see, you only have 0, 1, 2, 3. You don't have too many. Because when you get too many, it's very hard to estimate. And also you need to break down that big task into smaller ones, right? So this should be an easy one. So just 1 point. And I'm the requester. Now who's going to own it, right? So if you have the team account, then you can find other people, just assign it to somebody. All right, and that's it. And then you can put some other label, some other comments and everything. And then once this is done, so how do we confirm, or is our auto saved? Is that how they do it? Yeah, this UI doesn't, you know, I don't think that's a very good one. All right, so second one, maybe set up the database, connect the DB to Node.js server. So this one also maybe 2 points. All right, yeah. So this one, okay, there is a save button. I didn't see that. All right, and then so that's how you can add different tasks. Okay, I'll just do something very quick. Feature 1. Oh, here is the save button. All right, and then feature 2. But you shouldn't write feature 1, 2. Okay, I just use this one as a demo. So anything you think that you need to implement, you should actually put it into a task or issue in your tool. Okay, and then you have to estimate it. 2 points, 1 point, 3 points. All right. So this looks like a very good one to use. All right. So once you start, let's try to see start. If I start work on this one, I click on start. Yeah, as you can see, this one automatically goes to the current block right here. That means we start work on this one. This is a current iteration. Current iteration means current sprint. And then somebody else start this one, somebody else start this one. All right. And then during the process, you might find new things, new bugs, right? So I click on the add story. Okay, so server crashes when the input is empty. All right, that's a bug. Anything you find, file issue there. All right, and then assign it to somebody and then move it over. I'm going to start on this. And then you can see this is the current sprint. So every day as we do the meeting, and then you need to update this process. For example, okay, I finished this one here. I click on finish. All right, and deliver means that you actually release it. All right, so they give a more specific step. So I'm going to click on deliver, and then even accept, reject. So this means that the customer will actually accept it, or maybe the team, the QA will accept it. So they give you this very specific steps just to tell you that finish the coding is only one step. You also need to deliver it. Also, it has to be verified, accepted by the QA or by the team. So I can say accept, and then this one is done. All right, and then this one here also deliver, done, deliver, done. All right, they can actually track how many points you have finished, and then so that you can see how you're doing in terms of sprint performance and efficiency. All right, and then at the same time you keep adding things in the ice box and then move things over to here. All right, yeah, so it looks like this one is better than the previous version. I used this tool before, and previous you have to manually do a lot of things by yourself. It looks like right now this tool is pretty decent. Okay, so this is the one tool I would recommend you guys to use. Just create an account, I think invite different team members. Looks like there's a 30 days free trial, or maybe sometimes the project's public, and then you can do probably just use it for free, I guess. All right, but use this one to, the bottom line is everything you work on should be issued first. Okay, should be have some specific tasks. The reason is once you have this one, now you can assign it to somebody, and that will be very clear on who is going to handle what. Because the communication sometimes is really a big issue as we do all this development. And we want to make sure everyone knows what they do, and also we want to make sure people are not working on the same thing in a duplicated way. All right, so this clearly give the issues and assign it to somebody, and then try to control the steps. I think you can even specify how long your sprint is. I think in terms of yeah, there's some kind of setting about this one. Then they will automatically just group those into every iterations. So this tool is specifically for Agile development. All right. So do I have other projects going on? All right, so I haven't been using this for a while. There was one point actually we used some of these tools. All right. Anyway, so that's one tool. Okay, keep that in mind. The pivotal tracker looks like a very standard Agile development tool that allows you to experience how the Agile works. I'm going to send a link right here. All right. And then another tool I would recommend is simply GitHub. All right. So GitHub, if you open the project, let's go back to our CS4800 projects. Okay, so for example, this website project, right? So I go to the repository, all right? And then you will find something called issues at the top. So you click on here, all right? So this is similar to Pivotal Tracker, but then simply simpler, right? So you can just say, oh, I want to create a new issue, all right? Update the home page to show fall 2020 course class. Right, and this is to update the date team number in the homepage index.html. All right, so some kind of brief description talk about what to do. You can assign it to somebody. Okay, we got all the members here. Okay, I'll just assign it to myself, and then you can put a label to say this is a bug or it's an issue or whatever, and then after that, just click on submit issue. So this will be issue that's currently open. So you can see there are 3 open issues, right? So some of them, this is actually created by some other students, right? So let's say that this one already finished. So I click on this one, I'll click on close issue, all right? And then this issue is finished. It will not be showing up here. This one also, I'm done with it. So just close the issue. But you can see all the historical work you've done before. And GitHub issue is really simple. All right, so the pivotal tracker looks very cool, but sometimes when you have this many features, it just make it very difficult to use. The GitHub issue just focus on the issues. Issue, assign, and tag, and then category, that's it. And everyone, and also it's connected with your version control system. So that's why a lot of people are still using that. Right. So your next assignment will be go to pick one of these tools, either GitHub Issues, Pivotal Tracker, or some other tools. It doesn't matter. There are some other options as well. And then to start to put your issues and tasks into the tool. All right. And then start to use that one to manage tasks. Because that way, every member will be involved, and then make sure everyone gets something assigned. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure some of the member will be stay there, like, do nothing. And in many cases, it's not that they don't want to work on it. In many cases, it's just they don't know what to do. There's no communication, and then just eventually just it's not very good collaboration. All right. Ideally, you want to have every member to do something on average, equally split the tasks. However, most of the time, I think the team end up with having 1 or 2 members does 80–90% of the work. That's very common, and it's not a kind of good result we want to see. But that's why in the early days, the best way to manage that one is to clearly assign things to people. So there should be some kind of a leader or product owner in your team. Okay, somebody who have some experience could be that owner, but at the same time, everyone needs to use this kind of tools very frequently to keep their status updated. All right. Okay, so any questions so far? So what are the tools you guys be using in different companies, different teams? Anyone share your experiences? All right. And which company was that? I forgot. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Octane, it sounds very familiar. I can't remember what that is. Which one is that? The name sounds really familiar. Which one is that? This is a game engine, right? Yeah, like that's very true. Now you if you are familiar with Agile, it's very hard to believe how people do it with the traditional model. But well, the truth is people were using the waterfall model for 30, 40 years. All right. It's a lot of changes because right now, in the past 20, 30 years, we built more software to other domains. Also, the internet and mobile all move really fast. We can't afford being slow. Any new feature, cool feature, you need to roll out right away rather than waiting. And all of this, when that together, it just makes the Agile very popular. But in the past, the pace is slower, the software, the type are different. We're doing more kind of a system type of software. And at that time, the languages wasn't very powerful. So people just need more design. I think that also makes sense, right? So that's why I said there's still teams using that. And if you go to JPL, some student told me that they are still using, some of the teams still using the waterfall model. All right, very cool. Okay, so I also want to talk a little bit more about the Scrum. All right, so I did mention about some of these meetings. All right, these meetings, the sprint meeting, very easy to understand. Right before the sprint, then we need to discuss which issues to bring from the backlog to the current log, to current iteration, or icebox to current, right? So the one you see from the pivotal tracker. After the sprint, and then you go to another meeting to kind of summarize, reflect, review what happened, and then how do we improve. All right, so just like the point ball game I showed you last week, you set a goal, you do it, and after that, I give another 2 minutes to try to see how do you improve it. The same thing happened for the sprint. All right, so that part is pretty straightforward. But I want to talk a little bit more about the stand-up meeting, this one here. All right, so this one here, I think maybe from next week, we're gonna have everyone to try this. And normally what we do is we we ask, we don't want to have everyone to do this one. No, what you should do is every team should organize this one by yourself. But in the class, we probably will spend the first 5 minutes to have every team to stand up. Every team pick one member, okay, to kind of update these questions, what their team did in the past week and what their team is going to do this week. are there anything that your team are facing that blocks your progress? So every team can pick one member and to kind of do a quick update, so that you know, it's to simulate how the Scrum meeting goes. All right. And so let me actually, you know what, since we got some time, you know, let's just have a very quick mock-up Scrum meeting. Could I have like a 4 or 5, not too many, okay, 4 or 5 teams to kind of do this updates. Okay, your team just pick one person, and then we go that one by one, and then you just answer these questions. Okay, you can talk about what's happening in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and what is the current plan. Are there any kind of difficulties? Or make sure the thing you're talking about very concise, very it doesn't take too much time, but you know, get all the points. All right, so I'm going to just randomly pick some teams here. Okay, so let's actually go to our page here. Let's pick 5 teams. Okay, like and then your team will decide who is going to go. Okay. All right, so how about we do the banana bread? I'm gonna put it here. Okay, we need one person okay, only. All right, one person only from banana bread. We need one person from Python sucks. All right, potato Santa. All right, nuclear note. Okay, let's pick something from the end. Okay, garden snakes. All right. Could you guys actually find a team lead? No, why don't you do this? You know, could you type in the chat that if you are going to be the lead, just type your, just say you're going to represent which team. All right, thanks, Martin. All right, let's do this very quickly, guys. Just very quick. All right. All right, thanks, Artun. And 3 more. Garden snakes, nuclear node, and Python sucks. Cool. All right, thanks, Harvey. So garden snakes, who's going to go? All right, thanks, Ashley. All right, very cool. All right, thanks, guys. So again, very simple. Just unmute yourself. You don't need to open your camera, but unmute yourself and just kind of quickly update what happened in the past 2 or 3 weeks. What's your current week's plan, and any challenges? Okay, let's go with this one by one with order. So Marta, you want to start first?
Yeah, I can go. So can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. So these past few weeks, we've just been installing React Native for our framework, and also designing a wireframe for our application. I guess for this week, we want to get into more research into like different libraries that it offers, and I guess for the next few weeks, just do something with those libraries. Yeah.
Sounds good. Any challenges? Anything blocks you?
I think the installation process has been a huge challenge, and it's taking up most of our time. So
okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, Very cool. Thanks, Martin. Okay. All right, Atul, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm gonna divide it between front end and back end. For our team, the past week was setting up the environment. It was pretty fairly quick because for React we have Create React App, and then for Spring Boot we have Maven. So the setting up the environment was pretty quick. Then the past week we also partly designed on the front end part, partly designed how the website is going to be using Figma. We did that for the front end. We set up React basic components, and then for the back end, we are currently designing the API and designing how our object model is going to be, the application objects, and then how we're going to connect it to the API. Then for this week and next week, what we're going to do for the backend is use Firebase, actually connect and set up Firebase, and then create our data models and stuff, and then start doing it with the API. And then I think we will also be going to use those data and then display on the front end. That's what we're gonna do this week and next week.
Very good. Yep. All right. Thanks. And how about Harvey?
Yeah, so for our team, last week we finished writing and testing the scripts that will auto-generate our meme database and keep it up to date. So currently we have a MySQL database set up that has all the memes from the Cal Poly Reddit, and it keeps up to date with any memes that are being posted. And right now we are working on just prototyping a half-decent homepage and figuring out, like, you know, the front end stuff like CSS and JavaScript. And for challenges, right now we're still figuring out how to properly display the videos in the database, because about 90% of the links are image links, but about 10% of them are video links, and a lot of those video hosting services don't accept connections through like the iframe tag in HTML, so we have to figure that out. And we also have to figure out the gallery page, which has to be a bit more dynamic with like infinite scrolling and stuff.
Sounds good. Well, sounds like you guys already got some of the initial code done. Very good. All right. And how about Ashley?
Well, we've just been designing the basic visual layout with different diagrams and how we want our web service to work, and also finished setting up our environment. And we've been meeting every Thursday night to work on the web service application. And we're planning to continue building and planning some more and figuring out what our front end and back end should like include. And we're still trying to figure out what exactly our layout, the quiz, which is our main feature, should work in respect to what we need to add to the back end as well.
All right, sounds good. So you guys meet every Thursday night together?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right. And Joseph?
Yeah, so for us, we're just still basically installing a lot of the software we're going to be using, and then just getting familiar with the Django and seeing how we're going to implement a lot of the things we're going to do. So that's just the only thing that's been going on the last few weeks. Just getting more familiar with everything.
Are any challenges you see?
I think some of the challenges would probably be like definitely getting a little bit more like team time. We need to get together a little bit more just to be able to just get a little bit more organized, I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks guys. Okay. So that was very good. As you can see, guys, as you're listening, all right, so you pretty much get a very quick understanding about where they are, what they have done. And some of the teams are still kind of a prototyping. Some of the team already get some of the experimental code done. Some of the team are still researching. And so as you can see, you spend a very little amount of time. You can have some kind of a feeling on where they are, or whether that's on track or not, or something like that. That's basically the purpose of the Scrum meeting. It should be really, really short. Okay, as I mentioned here in the slides, very rarely let's go over 10 or 15 minutes. And you know, a lot of teams do stand up. Okay, stand up meeting means that literally they stand up because that way people won't talk too long. All right, so, but then the key about this meeting is you do it every day, and then you will, so the team will be very familiar with the whole process, because during the normal work days, everyone's just busy with their own work. You don't have a lot of time to communicate with each other. So this is definitely a good opportunity. All right. So the Scrum meeting, guys, I want to spend a little more meeting on that one. First of all, maybe from next week, maybe Tuesday or Thursday, we'll ask the whole team, just like today, okay, one member per team to kind of update your progress, right? Just kind of have some practice, so that one day you start join the team, start work on it, you will feel more comfortable with it. And it's really a simple meeting, all right? So nothing really hard. It's not a presentation, just update what you did and also what's your plan today. But same time, well, I know most of you haven't done this kind of meeting before, but some of you did. I want to highlight some kind of a point that means something really significant, okay, from this meeting. All right, I want to remind everyone that this daily Scrum meeting, all right, stand-up meeting you do every day is, I would say probably a really one of the most important things you should do well in the team, in the company, so that you can get a good performance, good reviews, or a good promotion maybe. All right, so this meeting, I think it really affects a lot of your career in that team or in that company. All right, the reason, just like I mentioned, in the company, all right, just like you guys right now, okay, you're all busy with your courses, now especially you don't really even meet each other. And same thing in the company, all the IT company, they work virtually from home. You literally almost don't have any kind of interaction. Even inside company, you just see each other in the morning and at the end of the day, during the lunchtime, that's it, okay? Very little interactions. And also maybe even less interactions with the managers, who is the one that's going to determine a lot of your promotions, your raises, right? So not many opportunities to kind of interact with each other. And then this stand-up meeting happening every single day becomes the most important occasion for people to meet and talk, and more importantly, to know each other. Okay, so that means that even though this meeting is really short, even though everyone only spend 1 or 2 minutes on it, you want to take it really seriously, because if you gave a good update, and then the others will actually hear that, everybody will hear that, not only your manager, but also the teammates. But then if your updates is not good, or if your progress is not good, then they will also hear that. And the meaningful part of this meeting comes when you do this one consistently. So if most of the meetings, you give really good updates, you always finish the task on time, you always figure out the good bugs, the critical bugs, then over the time, your manager, your peer workers, developers will realize, wow, this guy actually is really good, okay, because he or she always, delivers things quickly and with good quality. But at the same time, if over the time, you're always the one that kind of slow and not certain on certain tasks in terms of delivery, you often have a lot of things to report in terms of problems, in terms of things that blocks you. You often ask for help over the time, and the team will know, okay, we can't give him or her some of the challenging tasks because there's no guarantee he or she can finish it. All right. So that's why this stand-up meeting, even though it's short, but because it's consistent, it happens every single day, it is the meeting that builds your image, builds your brand. Right? A lot of new junior engineers didn't realize that. They found that, this meeting is kind of boring. I have to do it every day. I have to get there at time, and I want to spend my time focused on my coding, right? But just don't think that way, because everybody does the coding. And then you need to make sure that people see your progress, so that then you can get your promotions. You can be recognized. Again, the point is not that you need to show off your work, but you need to do some of the effective communication to let people know what you have done. All right, because inside the company, the managers, okay, normally are the one that determines your promotion, or he or she has the most weight on that decision. And of course, your peer developer will also do some review, but the managers review it with much more than the others. And then the manager is actually super busy. The manager is busier than the developers. And especially when they are managing a team of 8 or 10 developers, it's very difficult for manager to actually watch and see how everyone's are doing. They're not going to find the repository and see what you're coding every single day. They don't have that kind of time. All right. In many cases, if you are not reporting it, if you are not communicating the message, the progress clearly, then you cannot expect others to know how much effort, how much work you have done. All right. I have seen a lot of developers who are really humble, who enjoy coding, enjoying the technical part. They do a lot of things. They do even things, after work, late night. But then the next day when they are saying it, you feel like they don't know anything. That's really not good. Okay, being humble is a really good quality. I think I like being humble as well. I really don't like the people who often show us off. But again, don't misunderstand my point. You need to at least clearly communicate your progress to the team, to the manager, so that they at least know it. Okay, if you don't do it, nobody else will do it, because nobody else even know what you're doing, and then everyone is busy. Other people will not care about your situation. Okay, so this is your responsibility. All right, I hope you get that point. This meeting is really important. Okay, it directly affects your overall performance, your review, your promotion, everything. Okay, this is something I didn't realize until half year later. And now you think about it, this is the only opportunity you interact with the team. All right. So that's the first point. Okay, I want to highlight the importance of this meeting. Now, the second point is there's a question about this. All right, so I'm sure you guys all understand my point. I also think you all maybe should agree with me on this one. But the reality is, all right, of course, if you are saying, every day I got a task, it's 4 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours, I can always finish that with less time. I finish that, just like a 2-hour task for a 4-hour, a given task. I often use half of the time. I often get the critical bugs fixed. That's also good. If every day you give that kind of updates, well, of course, you're going to build your brand really quickly, and then the whole team will probably feel that you're very, very good coder, good engineer, and I'm sure you will get a very good future. But the reality is you're not going to get all these features done quickly every single day. And also there is not really that many critical bugs that always you can fix it and others can't really fix. Or when you are given a task or bug, you saw you can fix it, you saw this is an opportunity for you to prove your work, but it turns out that this bug is much more annoying than you thought. Or this feature is much more complicated than you thought. People are agreeing this is 4 hours, but then you literally cannot really finish within even 8 hours, right? So I have a question here. Now, if you are given some kind of a task, some kind of bugs, okay, you did not really get it solved or finished during the time required or assigned. Next day, you go to this stand-up meeting, and what should you do? All right, that is the question I have. And also I can tell you that everybody, no matter how smart you are, how good you are, you will need to face this kind of situation. I would say only 20 to 30% of your Scrum meetings will be things related with really good progress, really good result. Another 30-40% will be very, very common, typical result, expected result, right? You just did whatever is being assigned on time. Another 20% is, I call it really unlucky days, where you work, You work hard, you tried all the different things, but the result wasn't as good as we expect. And then you did not finish the task on time with the time given. So for this kind of 20% situation, how and what should you say during the Scrum meeting? Can anyone give me some kind of ideas? Or has anyone experienced that before? All right, I want everyone to pay attention to this question, okay? Now, this is a real test you will have, once you start to join the company, especially in the beginning. Normally, after a couple of years, you will have less those kind of situations because you know everything. You are the senior guy, you don't worry too much. In the beginning, people want to see your progress. You want to prove, but in the beginning, you have so much new things to learn. There's so many issues that you have no experience. It's more likely to end up with, being in that kind of situation. I want everyone to be really knowing what to do, what to report, how to handle it, so that you will not feel too embarrassed. Yes, of course, you need to be honest. Okay, but what do you report? You just say, oh, I got this thing got stuck there. Would that sound good? Yeah, report them the blocker. Yeah, for sure, you will need to, yeah, and my reasonings, yes. Okay, that's a good one. Has anyone got this kind of situation before? How you're gonna approach a solution? Yeah, ask what you, tell what you tried and ask for help. Yeah, kind of. All right. So I just want to really again highlight that basically you do want to report it honest. You can't really say you finished that one where the test is still there. But definitely you need to give some kind of actual details about it. All right. And I personally experienced this a few times, mostly in the early stage of a career. Later on, I really don't care about this one anymore, or it's easier to handle. So I did my first internship in Siemens. Okay, so they have a research center in New Jersey. I spent half year there, and we did a lot of research projects on software engineering. And then they gave me like a couple of days just to meet the team and know what they are doing. And then very quickly they assigned me a project. And then the project actually briefly talked about that one in day one in our class. And then we're building some kind of modeling tool to build a software for the electrical car back in 2010 for Siemens. Siemens need a prototype electrical car to test some of their energy transitions. The car system kind of sucks. Okay, I suggest you don't go to embedded software development, especially unless you are super passionate about the low level development. Okay, it is not very interesting. A lot of lower level C coding, you need to know a lot of this memory, very difficult to debug. Okay, sometimes you need to rely on the LED light on the board to test it. I don't really like it. But I'm okay, I can handle it. And I know C, I just didn't know a lot of electrical engineering knowledge, but it takes some time for me, but I can definitely get it, all right? However, when the manager signed this project to me on day one, I started looking into this one. I get familiar with on day one, I started to build a little bit thing, but very slowly. And then at that time, we didn't do the Scrum meeting because, or maybe at least I didn't do it as an intern. But then what happens was that the manager often like to just stop by my desk in the morning to check, oh, how's everything going? Any progress? I would just say, that was, for example, after day one, the day two, I would say, I just take a look at the documentation. Everything looks good. I think I got an idea. I already started coding a little bit, so we'll see. I'll try to get an update to you as soon as I can. That was the first update and everything went fine. And then from day two, I started really code it and then to implement it. And I suddenly realized that this whole thing is much more complicated than I thought. And I was trying to show something I list, some kind of random result, but I can't get that. And I worked super hard. Any internship, I'll talk more about that one. I work always super hard. I always stay like 10, at least 8 or 10 p.m. in the office. I spend almost the full weekend in the office. I'll talk why you should do that at the intern. I work super hard for sure. And then I'm always the one that goes to the office first, okay, because you want to basically prove yourself. But you know, the truth is the thing is really difficult to do. So on the third day, then the manager stopped by again, asked, oh, you know, how's everything going? Very informally, okay, it's not a stand-up meeting. And then I was kind of stuck there. I said, I kind of still working on this one. For some reason, this thing doesn't work. Not sure what happened, but I'll just try some other things. All right. So the manager said, yeah, okay, just keep going and let me know how things any updates later. So and then on next day and again still no much progress. Just need more time. Maybe got something clear, but still a lot of other things to finish. Definitely not as fast as I can, even though I still work super hard. At that time, I already got a lot of pressure because you're the new hire, you want to prove yourself, but all the updates you gave wasn't impressive. At least yourself don't feel it's very impressive. And then next day, the manager stopped by and I really hate it. And then he asked me the same question. I said, oh, it's kind of slow, but I think I know what to do, blah, blah, blah. I really hate to meet him at that time because I really don't have anything good to show. All right. And then later on in another couple of days, I probably get it done. Right. But there was 1 week, okay, I felt extremely stressful. Okay, the stress just comes from that manager's check-in. Because it is the only moment you give an update that you want to show something good. But then the problem is you work super hard, the thing itself is just not easy to do. Then that really sucks. All right. So this one is really common when you work in any kind of a team, because sometimes the bug, it looks like a very simple bug, but it could cost you 2 days, even a week. Sometimes you spend a week, then the result's still not good. All right. So all of this could happen. And then the question here is how are you going to report it? All right. So I think now when I go look at back, it wasn't that really challenging. So as some of you actually mentioned, you did need to, first of all, obviously you need to be honest, report the problem, report a blocker for sure. But the more importantly, you want to give the reasoning, the detail, the approaches you try, your solutions or your upcoming solutions you want to try next. In other words, when you are stuck somewhere during the stand-up meeting or update meeting, you need to give really much more details than normal so that people understand what have you done, because you're already late. Okay, you want to explain very well how you spend all the time. You want people to realize that this is not a 2-hour task. You're already spending 4 hours. Otherwise, they will feel that you're just being slack and you're not doing the work. So for example, all right, you're given this kind of a bug to fix. All right, after the whole day, nothing happens. And next day you're going to say, oh, I'm actually still working on this bug fix. For some reason, that API still doesn't return the result. And yesterday, I tried a different approach to fix it. First I thought this maybe the database doesn't really have the content. However, when I look at the database for all the past months, every day we do have the right content. So that's actually good. So I think that probably happens somewhere in the middle where our backend server, the API, doesn't work very well. It doesn't, is something wrong. So I did look into 2 of the APIs, and then in a similar kind of input, I can see that result print out in the console. So that means the logical part is still correct. So now I think the problem probably happens in a front-end page where the content is delivered, is sent it back, but somehow the page is not rendering it. So I think there may be 2 possibilities. maybe there is a recent update on one of the JavaScript libraries we use. Maybe that changed something, or just because maybe some of the broader compatibility issues, it doesn't show up. So today, my plan is to try two things. Number one, I'm going to roll back the JavaScript version to the previous version we had last year to see if that's going to make any changes. And secondly, I'm going to see what if I change different browsers? Do I still see the same kind of problem? All right. So this is kind of updates you want to give when you have a blocker. You need to give much more attention, much more time, much more details when you talk about this one. All right, exactly what did you do, why you were doing that, what is the result you found, why it's challenging. And then more importantly, you want to give people a plan. Okay, yes, this one was not finished, but I'm going to do this, this, and that today and see what happens. If you give all these reasonable explanations, reasonable plans, it actually shows that you know this problem very well. It shows that you actually tried a lot of things. It also shows you're very professional in terms of handling all of these tasks. All right, so everyone just please remember, okay, one day you will have this unlucky day. All right, when you walk into the stand-up meeting, all right, just do a preparation. Think about what you want to talk about. I don't want you to have any kind of a bad stand-up meeting, because every one of those meetings matters. It matters your promotion, it matters your career. It's also a very good way to show how professional you are in terms of as a software engineer, because as an engineer, you're not just coding, you need to communicate, right? This is really important. I have seen a lot of engineers, not a lot, okay, some of my friends in Amazon. And normally in Amazon, in about 1 to 2 years, okay, you can promote to the next level. That level promotion is pretty easy. So if you get there, do the right thing after 2 years, then you should be able to get to the next level. But then this friend didn't really get it even after year 3. And when he talked to the manager, and manager doesn't seem to be like the idea. So normally there are two possibilities. Okay, number one is it is possible you just have a manager that sucks. That happens a lot, and some managers don't care about the team members, just care about his own promotion. Some managers are very mean, some managers are not very considerable. If you find you have a very bad manager, my best advice is change the team or change the company as soon as you can, because you're going to waste your time there. Okay, you're not going to get much from it. But sometimes I don't really always blame managers, because at least the manager need to keep a good team, otherwise their job can't be done. Sometimes the issues come from yourself. Okay, either you're not working hard, but that's not really the case for most of the people, or you're just not showing things correctly, you're not communicating things correctly. And then I can tell you, a Scrum meeting is one of the most important occasions to show all of this. All right, so I want everyone to be really serious about this short meeting. It looks like a very simple Carol meeting, but in my opinion, it is not. All right, and because this meeting, if you go for over a year, if you see somebody always be very passionate, active, and organized, talking for half year, 1 year, that person is going to stand out, okay, very easily. But then if you are always working in the meeting unprepared, think about what you do, and then always just one sentence to finish your updates, over the time, I mean, nobody's gonna make your think about you seriously. All right. So it's all about how you present yourself as a brand. Okay. So the stand-up meeting, that is the key. All right, so this is just my personal experiences, guys. On day 1, you join the team. Very quickly, your manager is going to send you some of the calendar invitation. You will start to see one of the meeting will pop up like this every single day. Sometimes it's early morning, sometimes it's noon, sometimes late afternoon. And then that is your stage. Okay, so you want to be well prepared and show the best part of yourself. Okay. So that's a really important thing I want to share about today. Okay, very practical, no theory. And also this is something that if you know it, you know what to do. It doesn't really matter whether you are good at public speaking or not. This one had nothing to do with public speaking. All right, this is about how you summarize and prepare what you say. Sometimes it will be helpful if you write down something in a little note. You'll be surprised how many times that you will forget about what you did, because especially when you did a lot of items yesterday, that you only report half of them. That happens many, many times. Very common. All right, so this is a very useful lesson, I would say. Definitely keep that in mind. Yeah, so Alec mentioned about being late. This meeting really, it's a small thing, but it happens every day. That really gave people a very bad impression. The reason Alec said that, says that is normally the one being late is always late. Okay, so that just shows the kind of professional and your style. Okay, another thing I mentioned, guys, when you were especially when you're doing an internship, I already explained last time. Internship, I would say it's the easiest way to land a return full-time offer, because you if you work hard, if you do everything that you're supposed to do, it's very unlikely you can't get offer at the end. Okay, after 3 months, you can, because it's all your time. Okay, you just work extra hours, you get help, you ask help internally, you can ask your help from the university, from your professor. You can always get your things done, and then they will give you the offer. All right, so that's why during the internship, you really want to take advantage all the time. Okay, I did 2 of my internship. I can tell you, I all work like 70 hours per week. Okay, because that's the reason you want to be there, right? You want to experience more, you want to do more things there, and more important, you want to show the best part of yourself. I often get there first in the whole team. When I was in Amazon, I had a manager. This guy was like to do the bike. It was in Seattle. This guy was very young, and then he bikes to the office every day in the morning, very early. He just bought some of the very healthy, this canned food, drinks, and then gather, take a shower, start work. He is often ready by about 8:10, 8:15 a.m. That's really early for software company. Most software company people go to office around 10 o'clock. Okay, and not to mention 8, 9 is super early. This guy often get there at 8:10. Now I often get to the office around 5 minutes before 8. Of course, on one thing I want to get there early to start my work because I was very stressful at one point. And then secondly, I get there very on time every day at that time because I took the bus in Seattle. There was a bus that leaves every day in 7:30. So I go there and then get there a little bit less than half hour. So it's very on time. Always I get there 5 minutes earlier than him. And I never thought about that was a big deal because I wasn't trying to show, I came here early. I was just trying to do more work. And then I don't want to, be behind, because in the first couple of weeks, I was super stressful because I didn't know any of the tools they use in that company. But, at the end of the internship, I had a meeting with the manager to do all the reviews. And then he did mention explicitly to me that, oh, I'm very glad that, every day you are always the first one that comes to office. Okay, so that's the point I realized, these are the things that people will see. It actually shows your attitude. It shows your how professional you are, how much passion you have, how much you want to contribute. All these little things, when it happens day by day, it will eventually create something different. All right, so anytime, especially once you do full time, I think it's a different issue. When you become a full time, you want to be a little bit careful, guys. It's a different situation. You don't want to always go. If everyone go to office at 10, you don't want to always go there at 8 or 7. Or if everyone just get off work around 6:30 or 6, you don't want to always be the one that stay always at end. Because if you do that too extreme, in a very extreme way, you are kind of creating some little bit of pressure to others, and the others might not like it. All right, so this is a very, I would say, like a very, how to say the word, and yeah, you got to think a little bit carefully. I think in different situation, you should have different ways to deal with it. But in general, working hard, I mean, it's always a good thing. I think it's always a good thing for yourself. You're working hard not for companies. It doesn't mean that you care this company so much. I think you work hard just try to improve yourself quickly, especially when you are young. Okay, so you're not really sacrificing anything. You're not really, the company is not really taking advantage of you when you work more. You are doing this one for your own career. That's something you gotta be very clear. Because in another 3 or 4 years, with this kind of hard work, you can easily change your job to Facebook. Let's say if you're in Amazon, you can change to Facebook or Google, or from Google, you can go to Airbnb or Uber. And after the 2 or 3 years hard work, but then if you don't do the hard work, then you basically stay in the company. Maybe it's good, but then one day you will have a risk. Okay, one day you never know when they're gonna do, when things are not going well, and then people do a layoff. That's when the situation will get really dangerous. All right. So always keep in mind, while you are young, just work super hard. You're not doing this one for the company. You're doing this one for your own career. You are the one that benefits from all of this. All right. So these are all my personal experience. I kind of started my career just 10 years ago. Okay, not really too long time ago. I did so many things. I've seen so many people. For young developers, just remember what I told you today. Okay, so work hard, get professional, get to this like meetings ready, organize, show the. It's basically about how you deal with the non-coding work. The coding is one thing, but in the software company, you do need to do a lot of other things. All of these meetings actually matters. All right. Okay, guys. Well, that's all I want to share with you today. And then let me know if you have questions. Also, I'll be staying here for a few minutes. If you have any questions, let me know.